Talking of Arsenal, Miguel, Sam Dean in the Sunday Telegraph, rather scathing piece on Viktor Gyökeres. The headline is Gyokeres is one of the worst strikers in the league. Here's the data to prove it. Arsenal are top of the Premier League and Champions League tables, but many supporters are growing increasingly concerned about the performances of star striker Viktor Gyökeres, a £64 million signing. He pinpoints poor movement and unreliable touch, and it says it could be argued Gyokeres is occupying centre-backs, creating more space for other attackers, but the other strikers are now fit. So now Arteta will have a decision to make. Harsh or fair, this piece?
Well, to be fair to Sam, the piece is very fair and very measured. The headline is two-footed.
Yeah, and that's before you get the subtext, like unreliable touch, poor movement.
You only have to look at the goal return. There's an issue there. I've done a lot of Arsenal this season. I was there on Thursday night, and Thursday night I think was the most pronounced for me in that there were 3 times that the ball flashed across the box. I think particularly from a timber header back was the one that really stands out to me. And Gyokeres was nowhere near it. It felt like he was 5 yards behind the play. We've seen a lot of, classic number 9s from Ian Wright to Gary Lineker talk about how if you're a striker in that sort of situation, you've actually got to gamble on your movement to put yourself in there. That is obviously an issue, especially given Gyokeres was signed as a more traditional number 9, not someone necessarily to kind of for his pressing game or for other elements. I think another issue with him, especially if we're comparing him to kind of classic number 9s in that way, is that there's maybe been some frustration with Arsenal. When the ball goes up, it doesn't stick to him. And even you can sense, not so much on Thursday night, although it was a different sort of game, but when Gabriel Jesus came on in recent games, there's just a different energy about Arsenal. That it feels like he integrates into the team more. And look, some of it is down to the fact, I would say, that he's adapting to a higher level from the Portuguese league to the Premier League. It's a new country, but he is 27. One of the reasons he was signed, and this came out in some of the kind of discussion from within Arsenal in the summer, that it was to win now. But even that was interesting at the time, because in the build-up to this summer, which was kind of like the summer of number 9s, and it's interesting that a lot of them are actually struggling, which maybe says something about how number 9s are still developing in the modern game. But for pretty much 18 months, the word from Arsenal it was Sesko they were looking at. They'd done all the work on Sesko. That one of the reasons they were interested in Sesko as well is because, consistent with a lot of Arsenal's transfer recruitment, he was a player that could grow with the team, even if he wasn't a finished article. And now that did abruptly change in the summer, and I think there was even a surprise at other clubs that it was Gyokeres they went for and that Sesko was suddenly available.
Arsenal's £55 million summer acquisition of Viktor Gyökeres from Sporting CP has rapidly descended into one of the most regrettable transfers in recent club history. The 27-year-old Swedish international arrived with sky-high expectations after an extraordinary 2024-25 campaign in the Primeira Liga, where he netted over 50 goals and earned widespread acclaim as a complete modern striker. Fans and pundits alike hailed him as the missing piece for Mikel Arteta's title-chasing side, a powerful, mobile number 9 who could finally provide consistent goal threat up top. Reality has been brutally different. In 19 Premier League appearances so far this season, as of January 12, 2026, Gyokeres has mustered only 5 goals and 3 assists, a return that looks woeful when benchmarked against the price tag. More damning is his complete anonymity in the biggest matches. Against top 6 opponents, he has failed to register a single goal contribution, often looking ponderous, isolated, and lacking the clinical edge that defined his time in Portugal. His first touch has been described as heavy, his off-the-ball movement static, and his pressing intensity far below the relentless standard Arteta demands. Critics point to the classic Farmers League tax. The Primeira Liga, while competitive domestically, lacks the tactical intensity, physicality, and defensive quality of the Premier League. Gyokeres thrived in a system built around him at Sporting, with space to exploit and weaker backlines to punish. In England's top flight, elite centre-backs have neutralised him with ease. He disappears when the stakes rise, unable to impose himself against the likes of Saliba, Van Dijk, or Dias. This isn't just a slow start, it's a fundamental mismatch. For £55 million, a fee that could have secured proven Premier League performers or younger, higher upside talents, Arsenal appear to have fallen victim to daylight robbery by Sporting. The Portuguese club cashed in at peak value on a player whose numbers were inflated by a weaker competition. Gyokeres, now 27, has limited resale value if form doesn't improve dramatically, leaving Arsenal with a costly bench option or a permanent headache. Arteta's gamble on the ready-made goalscorer has backfired spectacularly. The manager's post-match deflections grow thinner by the week, while fan frustration boils over on social media. Questions swirl: was the scouting inadequate? Did the club overpay for hype? Whatever the answer, one thing is clear: £55 million for a striker who vanishes in big games is not a signing. It's a scam. Please like and subscribe.